It's always great to have the Godfather of Sportsbeat back on the show, Craig Bolerjack, voice of the Jazz.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for joining us. And before we get into the Jazz, it's the 30th anniversary of Sportsbeat.
Unbelievable. You know what that
Time
means?
flies.
I'm getting old.
We're all getting old.
You know what? It's almost like Bonanza and Gunsmoke. They were on for like 25, 30 years, but I'm proud that you, Zundel, Kirkland, everyone in the past has just kept this great show going. And you know what? When it first started, I don't know if our news team really thought it would last. I think we did like a 3-minute segment with a commercial, and then we came back and did 3 more. The next week they said, can you make that 15 minutes? Before you knew it, it was 30 minutes. And we also, of course, had the show Sound Off. That's right. We had a whole hour of Sunday sports. I loved it. We had a great time, and my years at KSL are some of my favorite memories of all time.
It's an honor to be a part of all of it, and it's special to look back on all the times that have gone by. And I go back to 1988 when Sportsbeat started, and I remember that Jazz-Lakers series and that Jazz season.
Yes.
And I look back, and that's kind of when it all started with Stockton Malone. That was a special time.
It was.
And it reminds me of what's going on right now. Do you have the same feeling?
You know what? You make a really great analogy. I didn't think of it that way, but '88 was special. Frank was still coaching at that time before Jerry took over. And Carl and John were just becoming stars, and we're watching Donovan, his star rising very quickly. And Rudy Gobert, one of the most dominating defenders in the NBA. And then just the other pieces that are starting to come together. Ricky Rubio, as we speak, had a triple-double, only the 3rd in Jazz playoff history. I don't remember a fan base chanting a name that we heard throughout the night. Rubio, Rubio. This is a special time. The Jazz, you and I were talking earlier, you know, you say team, and sometimes that is overplayed in this world we live in today, but I'll be honest, for Jazz fans, there is something special about a team that believes and actually likes one another. I think all of them have a mini chip on their shoulder about proving critics wrong. And when that happens, good things usually do happen. And we saw one heck of a win in Game 3, that's for sure.
You mentioned Ricky Rubio. What a transformation he's made during the season. You remember back in January, he was struggling. Fans were saying, we need to trade him, we need to trade him. Now he's having a triple-double in the playoffs, in his first playoffs. This is pretty unreal what we're getting from Ricky.
You know, Jeremiah, I tell you, watching him, he's a more film and stay after practice guy than I expected. When you get put down 6 years, and nothing against Minnesota, because they had issues and rebuilds and injuries and all the above, but Ricky never, sniffed the playoffs, and now he's in a different world. But I think he found something special too with his running mate Donovan Mitchell that maybe motivated him more than he thought. Who would think a 21-year-old would motivate a vet? But I think there's something to be said about that. And then he went back to film, he went back to practice, he works on his jump shot constantly and shoot around and practices, and I'm happy for him, because a lot of times guys throw the towel in or find satisfaction for just being on the floor. He wanted more, and he actually has performed incredibly well.
Donovan Mitchell's playing like a vet, acting like a vet, giving wisdom like a vet. Yes. You're around this guy on the road and throughout the season. You've witnessed all this. What is it about this guy that makes him so special? I
got to be honest, when this first happened, I thought, okay, rookie taking the league or the team or the city by storm. When will the crack occur? When will he hit the proverbial wall, so to speak? Never has. And I don't know if that's the way he was raised with his mom, and he's so close to her and his sister. But there's a lot to be said about the background of where you come from, but the hunger you have to have. Jerry Sloan always said it best, and Carl and John, exemplified this to the nth degree, and that's heart. And you can't, and Sloan would always say, hey, you can't, you can talk about stats all you want, but what's right here? And I tell you what, I think that holds true. He's 6'3", 215, not the biggest guard, but he has a little bit of Westbrook, he has a little bit of D. Wade, he's got a little Damian Lillard. I mean, you put all those pieces together, and that's a dangerous, trio of players. But I think the most important part is he's a competitor, and he loves the challenge, and he has respect of the veterans on this team, and that speaks volumes for who he is.
He has no fear.
None. See you, Maddie? None. And that's the most impressive part for me, is that a lot of times guys shy away. Nothing against Hayward. Look, it took him 7 years to become an all-star and to average 20 points a game. This guy has just done it in a matter of months. Now, he's not an all-star, but I think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think all of us would agree with that.
No doubt.
You know, slam dunk champ, and good things will happen. But he just has the it factor. People say, hey, what's it? You know what it is. You just know it when you see it, and he has it. I'm impressed, and I hope what we see is a long-term run for Donovan in a Jazz uniform.
I want to end by getting your thoughts on Game 3. Oklahoma City shoots 50% from the three-point line. The Jazz win by double digits.
Yeah.
How?
Rebounding, triple-double, and the Jazz have their own three-point shooter who got hot, and that's Joe Ingles. Heck, I'm still hoarse from calling the game. I really didn't think after again, it was almost a carbon copy that we saw the runs in Game 2 and Game 3. And the Jazz, there's no panic in this team. And we saw that during that, winning 29 of 35 down the stretch run. There was very little panic, and the Jazz just continued on their way. So, you know, there was a moment tonight that I thought, uh-oh, it's getting away. But then at the same time, Ricky just by himself pulled the team back in it. The crowd responded, and now you set yourself up for an incredible opportunity to go up 3-1 at home on Monday night. I mean, there's some doubt in this Thunder team. I'm not sure what Paul George's future is this summer.
Isn't there weird chemistry right now
weird.
with them?
You know, yeah, there is. I'm not sure if super teams really do coexist or not. LeBron's another good example in Cleveland. They've tried to rebuild around him. I'm not sure what Westbrook is going to do. Where's Paul George going to end up? Is Carmelo about done after 15 years in the league? A lot of questions around the NBA. I do know this. The Jazz have a solid young core, and that's good for Jazz fans.
How much fun is this?
I'm having more fun. You know, I covered this team, Stockton and Malone.
Yeah.
As you know, you've been around a long time and saw D. Will and Booz and all those guys. I just sit back and I love it. I want Game 4 to be here like right now. Let's play. But we get a day off, which is good, and Monday we'll see what happens. But we're all having a blast, and this is fun basketball. But also, it's the crowd, it's the fan who really makes this electrifying. And this building, as you know tonight, as we talk after Game 3, this place rocked like the old days. Stockton was here, and he walked by me and says, this reminds me of the old days, and maybe a little bit better.
How cool is that?
Really cool. Stock was here to see his son jump on the floor for 2 minutes.
He got some time.
Isn't that cool?
That was great.
Generational players, man. Pops is here to watch son.